by talking about the situation with Isaiah Rodgers. He is subject to an NFL investigation at this point due to, well, not even alleged, because he admitted to gambling on football, and not only football, the Indianapolis Colts. So he came out and had a statement. He said, yeah, he did what he did. So apparently what happened was he placed a bet, but did not use his name. So I guess he figured he can circumvent it that way. Now, the NFL, we've seen this the last couple of years or so with Calvin Ridley. Not that long ago, a couple months ago, with Jameson Williams from the Detroit Lions, and even a coach, wide receiver coach, ex-Cowboy Miles Austin. He's been suspended a year, and I believe he only gambled in a casino. So I don't even know if he bet on sports. I don't know the full details on him. But listen, the NFL is not playing around with these guys. So he did not participate, or Rodgers did not participate on practices starting Wednesday, I think, throughout the rest of the week. And then one of his teammates came out and literally just said, listen, man, they made it pretty clear that you can't do that, and I get it. You're going to have some people that are in the comments or anywhere talking about, well, why are they allowed to bet and da, 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 da. Listen, I it is what it is. I gamble. I live in Vegas. This is part of the culture. I get it. Isaiah Rodgers wants to gamble, but you're a professional football player. You probably shouldn't be betting on the team that you play for. And some people may say, well, what's wrong with that? I mean, look, there's conflict of interest. It kind of remind me of the NBA situation with what was the name of the referee? I think it was Tim Donaghy, or whatever his name was. He was involved in gambling, and he was involved in making decisions that could impact the game. The same thing could go for any player in any sport. If you're gambling on the team that you play for, the NFL rules are pretty clear. If you're going to gamble, you can't do it on the premise of a National Football Team's organization location, period. Like, you can't do that. I don't know when these guys are going to learn. And, and I think it's going to be tough for him. I think the NFL is going to make Isaiah Rodgers the poster child of this whole gambling thing, because he admitted to it. He said, yeah, I did do it. Now, the denominations of money that he was gambling was not that much. I mean, a couple hundred here, less than 100 there. It's not big, but listen, you can't do that. You can't do that, especially knowing the climate of what's going on when you've had other guys in the NFL get busted for this and are still under investigation. Now, Calvin Ridley is set to return this year. He's, I think, now in Jacksonville now. He served his year suspension. And so this is going to be interesting what they do, especially now, because the NFL is kind of caught in a conundrum, right? They're telling players, you can't gamble, you can't do this and that. But then they have exclusive deals and rights with some of the biggest sports betting, contributors out there. So I don't know. It's kind of like saying, the NFL, I don't know what's the beer of the NFL? I don't know. Let's say Coors Light, right? Coors Light is a big sponsor of the NFL. But then you're telling, your players, hey, don't drink, guys. You can't do that. So it's kind of like a weird situation there. But I get it, as a person that understands business and, corporate life and all that, like, you got to do what the company tells you to do. If not, then you could walk. You have choices here, right? So if he feels like he wants to continue gambling, then don't play National Football League anymore, right? Or just don't gamble on your team and do it outside of the Colts, the area, right? So a lot of people have a lot to say about this, but it's pretty clear. I don't think you can mince words about it moving forward. We already got some questions already. He says, Ben Cornett, what's up, my guy, man? Appreciate him stopping by. He says, I'm not shy at all, man. Laugh out loud. And then he says, Rodgers should have used Andrew Luck's name. His chances to win might have been better. Hey, that's smart. And Andrew Luck is retired. So, yeah, who knows? But, he thought he was being slick. That's the crazy thing about it, right? He thought he was slick and still got caught. So just be careful. Like I said, you got coaches, and I think the rules are different between coaches and players in the NFL. I think coaches can do something different than the players can. But listen, if you're in the NFL right now, don't gamble. I get it. As much as you want to do it, just don't, man. Just don't do it. Because if you get caught, it's not worth it. And the sad thing about it is that Isaiah Rodgers had a pretty good year last year. He's not a bad player, but now he might miss out on a whole year playing in the National Football League, especially, the fact that he admitted to it. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I just don't get it. When are these guys going to learn that you can't circumvent the system? They're not smart enough to circumvent the system. Okay. Not to say that they're not intelligent, but just, you play kid games, you get kid game results. So it is what it is. And Ben chimes in, he says, I'm waiting for, let's say, a high profile player, specifically a quarterback, if he gets busted for gambling. Let's see if the rules are the same. That's a great point, Ben. And I'm glad you brought that up. Let's just say hypothetically, right? Hypothetically, Patrick Mahomes, right? He's arguably the face of the National Football League, or Joe Burrow, one of those guys, right? Well, it could be Josh Allen because he's going to be on the cover of Madden 24. So let's say it is him. Does the league come down? I mean, I, listen, we know how this thing works. This is America, right? If you're good at something, if you offer something, people are willing to turn a blind eye. But I don't know, man. I feel like if it was a high profile player, they have to do something. Now, they may drag their feet a little bit, obviously, but you got to do something. But I'm with you. You know, I, I don't think, I think they have to do something. But here's the thing. I think, honestly, for the most part, in my opinion, a guy like a Patrick Mahomes would not get caught up in something like that. Honestly, I think they have people smart around them that will kind of encourage them to say, you're making millions of dollars, man. You don't need to go into MGM sports betting or William Hill. That's what we use out here in Nevada. It's not worth it. And I get it. Listen, I bet, I gamble all the time. But I'm not a degenerate. I bet small increments of money because it's fun. For those who've gambled before, whether it's sports betting or just gambling in general, if you ever come to Vegas where I live, people love the rush, the adrenaline. I like sports betting because it makes me invested in the game, right? Let's just say it's a Thursday night game. It's the Washington Commanders versus the New York Giants. I have no skin in that game for the most part. I'm not a fan of neither of those teams. But let's just say, I put some money on it, right? And now I'm interested in the game because I have money on the line. Now, the difference with me is that I'm not a player in the National Football League. Now, Isaiah Rodgers is, so it's kind of funny to me that he would but I don't know. I just don't get it. And Ben finally says, well, Pat did have Jackson around him. So is he really that smart? Joking, man, but I agree. Yeah. His brother. I mean, listen, that's his brother. That's his blood. I don't want to talk about that, but I mean, that's his blood. So it is what it is. But let me know what you guys think. Isaiah Rodgers, he is going to be out for a considerable amount of time. I mean, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts around that. So he's out. All right.